and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bone Apple Tea. We're in a new studio.
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of a hiatus. We've been moving. Lots of stuff. Lots
of setting this place up. I know you're looking at more of like a close angle here, but this place has got a lot of love that's built into it.
Yeah. A lot of throwing old stuff away. A lot of that. Anyways, let's just get right into it. We did move. It happened. A new studio. Today we're sitting down with TJ with the Shoreline Music Fest.
Shoreline Summer Festival.
Sorry, Summer Festival. It is a music festival though.
Yes.
Large show. So he's one of the two guys that's like the main dude behind it. He's been putting it on. This is the third year. It's on July 20th, by the way. So pretty much we just talked to him about the festival, how it's grown over the years, what it kind of takes to actually throw or put a music festival on. Like how he goes through picking bands and bringing in vendors, etc. And, it sounds like it's just years of building up to this, of just him playing shows himself in his own band previously, and then meeting enough people to get to the point where he can put on one of the bigger shows in the, kind of emo, punk scene in Connecticut. Last year, I think he said there were around 600 people, he said they already did around 600 tickets in pre-sale this year. So they're on pace to do a pretty big show this year.
Around 1,000, if not a little more, which that place is going to be at max capacity for sure. But he's got vendors, he's got all sorts of stuff.
It's at a brewery, the Beer Axe in East Haven. So, it's at a brewery, so you have access to beers. They even do, I think he said, special beer just like for the festival, because the brewery makes it for them and cans it and stuff, so you can actually get cans of it. So I don't know, it sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. Pretty stoked. And super, super nice dude, really good conversation, and learned a lot about what kind of goes into putting on these shows, and also just marketing and kind of getting yourself out there as a band in general. So really good talk, and enjoy.
All right. Yeah. So the cool part about the new studio and no AC right now is you get to hear the wonderful sounds of Westerly mid-building here. TJ, it's good to have you on, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So how did you start even the Shoreline Summer Festival? And actually, for people that are listening, you started Shoreline Summerfest? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's technically this year, me and my friend Adam, we started a booking company.
Also Adam.
I'm Adam.
Adam as well. Different Adam. We started a booking company just for local stuff. And I used to be in another band that was kind of our thing. We were running it the last 2 years as a band. And then this year, I kind of just took it into my own hands. So the two of us are kind of running it together. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a lot of the legwork myself. It originally started back in probably like 2020. We did like an Instagram live type festival. So we had...
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we called it Couchella. So we had,
I think I remember seeing posters for that.
Yeah. I think Jimmy might have played on there.
Probably.
So that probably makes sense. Yeah. The idea was like to have people play from their couch, and we had people come into do like the split screen thing on Instagram Live. It worked out pretty well. So we were like, okay, we could do this as a real thing once stuff opened up again. So it kind of just fumbled from there, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's cool.
So you start do you start off mainly, I'm guessing, just like booking like bands you guys are like friends with and stuff like that? I mean, Jimmy just from playing shows, right? Or how'd you guys end up meeting?
Yeah, so I've known Jimmy for a very long time. I think I probably played a show with him like in 2014 or so.
Oh shit.
So
okay.
Wow.
I've kind of been around for a bit. As far as like the start plan, I usually start in like November, and I try to look for, I have an idea usually of like what I'm thinking for headliners. So I'll start with trying to get a headliner or two, but at the same time, I try to get local bands that can bring people in, because a lot of the times the headliners that I get, they're bigger bands, but they're not like main draw for like hundreds of people. So we're still relying heavily on like the local bands pulling people. So I'll reach out to like two, maybe bands from kind of the Northeast. So headliners most of the time are from New England or so, but they're bigger bands. And then two or three like core, somebody like Jimmy, who is obviously popping off right now, doing a great job.
Yeah, Jimmy is just like, he really impresses me with his ability to get things going.
Yeah.
Like his that dumbass or not dumbass the runs release.
Him or the record?
Yeah. Jimmy is a dumbass. No. But the runs, man, like
really
when he
impresses me how much of a dumbass you.
yeah,
It's hilarious.
but his that show turnout was absolutely insane.
It was nuts.
It was coupled. It was coupled by like it just also being a really small venue. And I think I went to another one where they were filming where we were filming, and it was like we were filming like some Sunday morning live stuff, and Jimmy was filming a video there. And again, just the ability to organize an event and just have as many local people there, like actually interested in going, is really impressive.
Yeah,
Jimmy's really good at pulling people in. I feel like at least, and it's weird because like I feel like the Connecticut scene is kind of, it's like tight where like a lot of bands know each other, but also surprisingly large. I don't know. I feel like every time I go to one of these shows, I'm like, holy shit, like this many people are just down to come to a basement show basically. Yeah. And he's done a number of those. And then, you know, obviously like, the house show that we went to, which was just, you know, his parents' house or whatever it was. So it's like, okay. And then tons of people showed up and it was sick. And they have like, you know, kind of ride or dies that show up to all their shows and they kind of set the tone so everybody goes nuts. You need a couple of people like that to kind of like like let people know what type of show it is and like, hey, we're going crazy right now type of thing.
Yeah. It's good to see like those shows. I wasn't at the record release. I actually got my appendix taken out the day before or something.
Oh, nice. That's fun.
Yeah, big mess. But the house shows and stuff, it's cool because you obviously get all the fans that we're building sort of like an underground scene right now, especially with Jimmy hosting the house shows and stuff. You get that like gritty kind of homegrown vibe that everybody's kind of looking for, at least as a local band. Like you want that like core audience of like your friends. I feel like getting 50 of your friends to come out is like so big, but also having the other local bands show up to stuff like that is really cool, because then we're now going to just start hopefully building more and more of that around here. And I feel like that's what is a lot of people are looking for, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a you know, a small community, but you build like a solid roster of people you can rely on. If you're trying to put on a show, you're like, all right, well, you know, we got Sunday Morning or we got you know, Scooped Up, and we know they're going to bring their crew, and you know what type of show it's going to be. But like, so what are some of the like bigger bands you've gotten on? Like you'd mentioned a couple times, like you have like one or two big bands. Like what are some examples of like some bands you guys have gotten in the past?
Yeah, so we did this year. It's Future Teens and Young Culture, who are Young Culture is from Albany, but they're like I don't know, probably I think they have like they're in the 10K follower range. Oh, nice. So it's usually like the headliners you got to pay whatever their booking agent is looking for. So negotiations take a while, but Future Teens is a band from Boston, I think. So I try to keep it kind of close where you might be able to pull some of their hometown people down. Yeah. Last year we had Carly Cosgrove from Philly. They're like a kind of like a math rock-ish sort of band. And then each year we kind of, I've been trying to step it up a little each time. So we had a Will Away as our headliner the first year. They're from Naugatuck, and they recorded my band's record. So it was pretty easy to get them to agree to it.
That's awesome.
So next year I have my sights on if this year goes well and I can pull in some money, I have a good plan for next year that's going to make it pop off, but I don't want to say anything yet.
I was about to say, is it a surprise?
About to interrogate you real quick. No, but I get it.
Knowing me, I'll say it and be like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And then it just won't.
Yeah. Or it's like, you know, I get that where it's like, you almost get too excited about something and you say like timing is everything. And so you do want to like, you know, time things appropriately. So I get it. But that's cool. So this is, wait a minute, is this year 2 then?
This officially? Is 3.
Year 3?
Year 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's like been some like venue wise? Do you go to the same place or?
Yeah. So it's been at the Beer Racks in East Haven all 3 years. Yep. But we've progressively done a little bit more.
Wait, is that how you pronounce that? Beer Racks? Not
Beer-X, yeah.
Oh, I've been saying barracks.
Oh, so
No,
it's
supposed to be like a play on
yeah,
words.
It's a play on words.
because it's a brewery.
He's a little
yeah.
slow. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's like beer and
He got
barracks.
there, though. That's
yeah,
good.
you did. Yeah.
Okay.
You watched that unfold.
But the first year, I was like, I had people. We announced the show. The plan was to have music, local bands, then have the headliners. And I had some people hit me up to like be vendors for it. So I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So
Nice.
we tried to incorporate that. So we went into the parking lot a little bit. We had maybe 4 or 5. So then the second year, which was last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to like do a whole reach out to as many people as possible and try to get some more. So last year we had like a bigger circle in the parking lot. This year, to benefit more so, it's tough when you throw the concert and everybody's coming for the concert and the local bands are selling tickets. They're coming to see the band. Trying to get them to come outside and look at the vendors and stuff. It's like most of the people do, but to ensure that they do, we had talked in the past about doing a second stage outside.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Oh, whoa.
I bought a stage, which has been the big funny thing. Yes, I bought a stage from China on Alibaba.
Nice.
So I own like a steel 15 by 12, I think. It's pretty big. It's about the size of the stage at the Beer-X if you've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Inside.
Yeah.
So we have one set up outside now. So then that let us put on more bands. So now I can kind of like throw on more bands and then make a bigger circle in the parking lot and throw vendors all around, and people are going to be inside, outside. So,
oh, dude, that's awesome.
This year it's going to be way bigger, probably like actually double the size of last year for anybody that did go last year.
Dude, you're a few years away from just now that Vans Warped Tour is gone, you're just going to slowly morph into.
I know. I did have somebody say they were like, you should look at whoever runs the 4-Chord Music Fest, because like I guess it started out kind of the same way. They were just doing stuff locally and then it kind of blew up.
And like follow suit or something.
Yeah, that's like the story so far. State Champs, all those big bands are playing there.
Yeah.
But Goalkeeper, who's playing Shoreline this year, is actually on that as well in June.
Oh, yeah, I know Goalkeeper.
Yeah, we saw them at that.
They played
Sunday
that house show.
The Scooped Up show. I mean, I guess they were both.
I guess they were both there, but yeah. Okay. I was going to say, I thought I recognized the name. Dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there something in you besides just like, oh, this was going to be fun to do or just so happened? Like, what motivates you to even like put all this together? Because it's obviously a lot of work.
Yeah. So it started kind of as being in a band. I could put my band on it.
Oh, which by the way, plug your band real quick. I don't think you've
I'm not in the band anymore.
Oh, okay.
So,
got it.
But I am always working on new music, so I'll have stuff out hopefully next year. But
cool.
It started kind of as we could do this to promote ourselves, to promote the label, to promote all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then now it's kind of just turned into like, I work in marketing, so it's kind of like fun. I'm a graphic designer, so I do all of this stuff
that's cool.
For the fest, and it's fun as like a personal project. So I dive in a little too hard at times, but I'm constantly just like thinking about what I can do. So it's fun. It kind of just started continues as a passion project, I would say.
That's cool, man. I feel like it definitely goes hand in hand with the graphic designing thing because there's so much of it and your marketing, like that's like the whole thing.
Right.
So I guess it makes sense why it feels so natural to do.
Yeah. And it is kind of fun to the goal is like in a few years, I really want to do like I have had to put a couple of the same bands on all 3 years just because like there's only so many that draw like a good amount and they're my friends and all this stuff. So I tried this year to reach out a little bit more so it's a little bit more diverse as far as genre and like just overall kind of mixing. One of my friends has a reggae project. So
cool.
I put him on this year.
Pretty cool.
So it's ranging from like reggae to like almost hardcore. Like one of my other friends plays in like a hardcore band and he's on. So it's going to be a little crazy, but I kind of like the being able to introduce people to maybe something that they wouldn't normally hear. And the last 2 years I had people come out and say like, I had no idea these bands existed and they're so great. And it's like, that's the whole point of the scene, supporting each other, having bands that maybe wouldn't necessarily fit with your niche in your genre, but like still is palatable for anybody who kind of understands pop punk, might like emo, might like even a reggae thing is kind of cool.
No, it's not that far of a stretch, And like, but like Albany, so Albany's pretty far. I mean, I don't know. Like, do they, is it like a big group or just like a 5-piece or something?
They're, I think 3 or 4. Yeah, they were just on tour in Australia with some band. I forget who, but they're touring all the time.
Well, damn, if they've been to Australia, I'm sure coming from Albany to Connecticut's not that bad.
More so like if they had like, whatever, their local scene too, like that might be a little tougher. But I mean, it sounds like they're pretty decently known if they're flying around.
I wouldn't bet on like their people from Albany maybe coming down, but I do know that some people are driving up from, I had somebody message me that they're coming up from Maryland to see the band play.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I would drive that far, but I mean, that's part of another thing. It's a great transition point. The ticket price is always a big conversation that we have in the beginning. It's $20 to get in for 20 bands and 20 vendors and all this stuff. Any festival of like a similar size these days is like $100 something.
Jeez, wow.
So trying to keep it low so that somebody like that, now it's more of a justification for somebody to drive a little bit further to come out and see, especially somebody coming from Maryland to come see pretty much a local band fest is pretty awesome. And I'm hoping that keeping the price low, especially in years to come, as low as I can, realistically.
Yeah, right. Because you got a lot of overhead on your own.
Will cause people to kind of come from a little bit further. And my ads kind of target, I go as far as like Albany and Boston.
Yeah.
Kind of round it out about there.
I mean, you just get more volume instead. And, maybe like because it's lower, more people can show up type of thing. Get a bigger show in general. I mean, there were people literally from Germany at that house party we went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that about?
So
were they just
just happened to be in Connecticut or generally around and like they follow Scooped Up and they DM Jimmy and he was just like, pull up to the show. And they came.
So funny.
It's really funny, yeah.
Oh my God.
Wait, so how does like the vendor relationship work? Like initially do they just show up and it's like free or do you charge them to
There is a vendor fee. That is one of the things that helps me kind of cover the overhead cost. It's like they pay, it was I think $150 this year, and you can set up all day and sell whatever you want. I don't take a percentage or anything. It's just that, and that's pretty much it. And in that doing so, they're basically investing in the fact that I know I'm going to have 1,000 people there.
Yeah,
and so.
And that's like separate from the bands doing their own like band merch thing, right?
Yeah. So there'll be all these, I think there's 20, 21, 22 vendors or so. They'll be all outside kind of making the outer ring of the parking lot. And then bands, I think I put inside kind of half and half depending on space. They'll each all have their own table and stuff. So
yeah,
it's big. It's getting bigger to the point where the venue almost, I think, isn't going to be able to hold it if I go any bigger.
Oh, God.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you have to start looking elsewhere.
I had to get a permit this year to do it. So
really,
the town is involved now and it's getting crazy. So,
wow.
So have
That's
you
a great
like,
sign though, huh?
Yeah. It's good.
Have you been like looking forward? Have you like started scoping out venues already or how is?
I tried to do it at Two Roads last year.
Oh,
and I thought that would have been a really good, like kind of, they already have the capacity to do something like this because they do it on their own. Like they have their own summer fest. They do the Lonely Roads Fest that the Emo Night CT guys throw in Labor Day weekend. So I hit them up and had a conversation with one of the women that works there. And they basically said that it was the demographic was too close to the emo night thing.
Okay.
And it was, my thing was in July last year, or it's always in July. This is in July. Their thing is in, when's Labor Day?
May,
September,
I thought.
August.
I don't think Memorial Day.
Yeah,
no,
Labor Day is September. Yeah, I think
September.
So.
They said it was too close, and
oh, interesting.
Okay, some competition. So what's up with this breweries, huh? They just
I guess
love
the
emo shows or emo show goers love beer.
Well, and I do have to thank the Beer Racks because the first year they kind of like helped out, or every year they've helped out quite a bit. They threw in we did a custom beer the last 2 years.
Oh, no way. That's sick.
Yeah,
That's really
they
cool.
did one that we put in cans and had like a cool label on it and everything. And the first year they were like, oh, we're going to partner up and we'll do this. And then they didn't charge us to do whatever because the bar did so well. So it was like, it worked out for both of us to
I'm
kind
sure
of
they
be
made
like,
a ton of money. If you had, you know,
so they're
especially
stoked to
have
do
1,000
it.
people showing up. You know what I mean?
They're stoked to do it. And it's the Hoax Brewing guys, so Sean and Austin and Joe have been a huge help in like gathering all the material. Like they know how to get the permits and stuff. So I can lean on them a little bit. So I would like to continue to do it there. They're looking at getting a new space, but they keep hitting dead ends with like finding a lease and finding the right spot because they need like a warehouse to brew beer and shit. So they were looking at Hamden. So this year was potentially going to be there. And it was like, we weren't sure with the timing, and then it fell through. So we were like, we'll just still do it here. And then, so if they go somewhere else, I'll probably follow them and do it somewhere else. And they know that like, they're the guys that run all the shows there. So they know that like, they need a space to do that. Like, and hopefully next year it'll be in a nice big parking lot somewhere, Vans Warped Tour style.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome.
That'd be tight.
That'd be so cool. Is that a real number too? You said like 1,000 people. Is that like a pretty real number?
Yeah. Right now we're close to 600 pre-sale. So
wow, that's just pre-sale.
Yeah, just pre-sale. Yep. So usually we do about 20% of the total tickets like the week of. So
I was gonna say we're not even in July yet.
Yeah, we're not even in July, and we're probably gonna. I think I'm aiming for about 1,000. Yeah, that's kind of when I hit up people like food trucks and stuff. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be about 1,000 people.
Oh, nice. You got food trucks pulling up?
There will be a few food trucks. I'm still working on getting the final one, but we have a Mexican truck and like a grilled cheese burger type thing too.
Oh, dude.
Some staples right
all
there.
All the
Come on
stops
now.
are being pulled out.
Wow, that's awesome.
Everyone, anything to keep people there is kind of the whole thing. Like as much as, you know, it's kind of local bands are going to get their friends and family to come for like a 4:00 set time, let's say. It's if you come at 2:00, you're going to catch 3 other bands because if you're like, oh, there's a vendor fair, we'll walk around, we'll do this. Now that the stage is outside and the beer racks, the garage doors are open, you're going to be able to hear both probably.
And if it's nice out, it's like, I feel like it does, putting a stage outside does a lot because like you're still listening to music, you know? You don't feel like, oh, I'm leaving the show. It's like you're still in the show, but you can also check some shit out.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that people will come like, oh, because they know there's vendors or they know that they want to get some food or something. They'll either get there early or stay a little bit longer, and then more exposure for all the local bands. And like, that's the core of the whole thing is, you know, trying to give local bands a platform of some sort. So it's like, as they're not huge bands, but like Future Teens, Young Culture, it's a good reason for somebody to like say, okay, I'm going to try to like bring out all my people to this one because it's kind of a big deal. So
yeah,
like,
I mean, and especially like, I don't know, especially if it already has a decent following, like I feel like you could use that also to be like, yeah, it was pretty big last year. And then also like the more people you bring, it's probably cooler to just play a bigger show, you know? Like
exactly.
I feel like it kind of incentivizes people. But do you ever have, because I actually wanted to ask this, because of the ticket price, like did you ever get a show out or notice that less people than you sold tickets showed up like because of the cheaper ticket price? So like, oh, well, it was $20 and you know, I can't really make it.
Up.
Yeah,
something not
like
saying that you would even know this information, but
but I don't know. I don't know how if you like are sitting there with a counter, like, all right, we got
right. I think a lot of times I do know that people will sell tickets to like my mom, for example, will buy 10 tickets, and who's to say that 10 people show up? She'll bring 5 maybe. So like, I'm sure that the local band thing, it happens that way too. So, and the close to 600 is including all the locals plus like the online sales and all that stuff. So everyone's kind of bringing it seems that everyone's kind of bringing their whole gang with them, which is cool. But we do keep track, like we can see how many scans of the tickets that come in.
Okay, so you scan them.
Oh,
that makes sense. Like why wouldn't you?
We've done, I would say it's usually about 80% or so.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. That is really
can't
good.
complain.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean,
This year so far, we've doubled what the total turnout was last year. Like that actually came. We've sold more double the amount of tickets of the people that actually came.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. So
whoa,
it's going to be kind of like max capacity situation here. But
yeah,
I'm hoping that with the outside being, we are in the entire parking lot at the Beer Rex. So there's going to be no parking, which is not great. But I'm going to do a whole like thing on social, like to promote carpooling and like try to get people to park in the commuter lots down the street and then carpool over or something like that. Just to, because like I feel bad for like my dad who can't walk very far. And it's like, what's he going to do? So yeah, that's the only downside I would say of the whole thing is that the parking sucks.
The parking situation.
But
I feel like there's probably, if I remember that location, I mean, I don't know if it's like legal, but aren't there like other like little businesses around that you could probably slide into? I mean, I don't know if that's probably.
They said something last year that like we could talk to them and see if they would be down, but it's like having to go and try to work out a deal with somebody for 20 parking spots was kind of like there is like a business that's kind of around the corner there. And I think they might have used them. There was another festival that they did there last year. They were shuttling people, but I guess they said that not a lot of people used it. So I was like, I guess I won't do that. So I think
like people will figure it out, like
they'll figure
park
it
a couple
out,
like streets down, walk over type of deal.
Last year it was street parking just all the way down and around. So people are young. Most people are young and able to walk. So
yeah, there you go. What can you do?
Making it convenient by putting them in a commuter lot and carpooling over will hopefully work. So,
right. I mean, at least make it known that is even an option,
Because that's something that I wouldn't have thought of. Like if I maybe wasn't so involved and in passing, somebody was like, oh, you should go to this. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I would be like, oh, I'll meet you there. And
you wouldn't think about the parking at all. And then you get there and you're like,
and then you get screwed. So then it would be so much easier to just go with a bunch of people in a car and pull up and.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So like between last year and this year, what are the biggest changes? So I mean, it sounds like the outside stage is probably the biggest thing, but
yeah, outside stage is definitely the biggest thing. Way more vendors and stuff. We're gonna have different beer. I mean, kind of core premise. It's kind of all pretty much the same as last year, just about double the size. So there's more of everything. And there's definitely going to be more yard game type things. So we've done cornhole in the past, and I had this like kind of like a giant beer pong type thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I've seen that. It's almost looks like a basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's really
we may do that, and then I'm going to try to get like a couple of cornhole things. There was talks about doing a tournament last year. I was like, logistically, if I could figure it out, maybe we'll do a cornhole tournament like in the middle of the day or something. But
that would be pretty cool. There's definitely a lot of competitive fellas
keep people
out
there too. That's what I'm hoping for. So we might try to work that out and see. But yeah, it's just kind of a bigger version of last year for anybody that did go last year. And I'm very excited. So,
yeah. Dude, it's super cool, man. I mean, it's one of those things that, like you're saying, is great for like local bands and community, but also you never know where it could go. Like Shoreline Summerfest has like a cool ring to it, and like it's just awesome, and I think it's like a good avenue. Like it reminds me of like, because people miss like the Vans Warped Tour and stuff like that. So you kind of are coming in at a great time because there is this sort of vacuum of events like this, So like it almost makes like total sense to like do something like this.
And the thing that is good about the size that it is now is it's kind of like right now it's probably the biggest like DIY festival in the state that exists. So it's giving everybody who's like an up and comer something actually attainable to like reach for. So you'll have somebody who and I get DMs all the time. They're like, if a spot opens, let me know. And I'm like, hit me up in November because that's when I start to book shit. And it's like, I'm not gonna turn anybody away just because they're just starting out. It's like, if you give me a good enough reason and you sound good and your stuff's all put together, then like, I'm more than happy to put anybody on this thing. The main goal of like, I would say 5-year plan is I would like you were saying, to have more of a built-in kind of audience so that I know that I could do a pre-sale without announcing bands and people are going to buy tickets. That's when I would want to start bringing in out-of-state locals. Mm-hmm. So like we have, and like Scooped Up Sunday Morning do the same thing with like Goalkeeper, for example. They're from Philly, and I mean, they have like their own following in Connecticut now at this point, but like bands like that, we want to be able to pull them into here to expand our scene, to give people something new to hear, but also show the band that you can come here and have a great show and bring more people into Connecticut. And then that's kind of the 5-year plan is I want to just try to get as many like local out of state bands to kind of come in, but we're still building with the like where I'm relying on locals to sell tickets. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's just like it's like it's a long road, but it's like you're doing it right. And there's, definitely some support behind it. So I feel like it's only kind of up from here, really.
Yeah.
Especially hopefully. Because you're like, seemingly very dedicated to it. What is, I can imagine that, if you're in year 3, like you're saying, you probably get hit up quite a bit to be a participant of this, and you're limiting it to 20 bands, I think.
Yeah, this year there's 20, and that's kind of just how it worked out. I think okay. I could go. My thought process was with the outdoor stage and the indoor stage, being able to let everybody kind of see a little bit of everybody. So there's a 15-minute stagger between the two. So when one band ends, the other band will have been playing for 15 minutes and they still have 15 minutes. While this stage is setting up that last 15 minutes, you could run inside and catch the end of their set. Then when they end, that band starts outside. So it's kind of like you'll be going back and forth, but you'll be able to actually see a little bit of everybody if you're willing to walk in and outside.
And do you think there's enough like sound separation such that they won't like bleed into each other?
So we're going to place the outdoor stage kind of like, hard to explain, I guess. If you walk out the front door where there's the stairs at the beer racks, it'll be to the right side of the parking lot, kind of where that like the other section of the other businesses that are in that complex kind of are. So it'll be pointing out that way or out towards towards Bradley Street. And then the stage inside is going that way. So I think they're kind of like pointing at the same thing. So if you're standing in the back corner of the parking lot, you might be able to get both. Mm-hmm. But if you're standing in front of the outdoor stage, you'll be able to just hear the outdoor stage.
There's enough like differentiation.
And inside you'll be, there's the outside won't come in. If anything, the inside would go out. But,
right. But if you're close enough to stage, it probably won't make a difference.
Yeah, and we're pushing it far enough away that it'll be like, you'll be able to hear it if you were standing outside, but if you have another band blasting in your face.
Yeah, then, right.
Yeah.
So how many do you get like, well, you said people DM you, is there like band submissions or that you sift through, or do you just yourself kind of? Yeah, I was just wondering like how many do you typically go through when you're like kind of trying to narrow it down?
And so to add on to that too is like, sorry, but like what is like the, like if a band's interested in playing, what would make you say yes or no to them?
So the problem is a lot of the DMs I get I announced it in April and I got all the DMs at the end of April. It's like I already have it all booked. So I just get like, it's all random people from Connecticut that I've either never heard of before, or not that like I've never heard of them, but like I don't know who they are. And I get a lot of rappers, which is kind of weird.
Well, there's a lot of underground rap because you have New Haven and then even in Massachusetts, like there's a really big scene for that.
So I do get a lot of those. As far as like criteria for booking, it's mostly We do have the band sign an agreement to like make sure that they don't play within a certain radius, certain amount of days, because that's just me protecting my investment pretty much. Is I have to make sure that you don't play another show within however many days, because then you could bring people there and then you miss out. And it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. And that was a big thing with this year is I was reaching out to a lot of like bands I normally wouldn't put on this kind of thing. But like I can definitely see that there's in Connecticut, I would say in that kind of the broad indie emo alternative genre, there's definitely like a straight line right down the middle dividing two separate mini scenes. And
really,
I'm trying to get into the other side a little bit and pull some of them into here because, you know, I'm not the only festival that happens at the Beer Axe. Probably the biggest one, but I'm not the only one. So there's other like niche.
Tomato.
There's other ones doing their own festivals and stuff. So it's like I've always said for like the last 5 years or so, like I'm done with trying to be like, I hate when people compete against each other and you're from the same state in the same scene. It's like, let's just all do the thing together. Because if everyone put everything aside and just came and did one music festival, it would get national coverage and it would be huge. That's because true. You'd get every good piece of every part of the scene. But I mean, there's no one in particular. It's just that's kind of how it looks. It's just like anybody that I asked that was kind of on that side was like, no. Like I'm not doing that. Are you like kidding? Like I got some like there's no way I'm not playing my hometown for that many days. And I'm like, you're not seeing the bigger picture, but like I get it. That's fine. And
how long is your stipulation?
It's 30 days. So it's June 20th to August 20th.
Or July 20th?
30 days before, 30 days after too.
Oh, after.
So the whole concept with the after thing is people could announce a show, let's say right now, and it's mid-June. You could announce a show saying that you're playing July 30th, which is 10 days after the festival. That you're giving people an option to say, okay, do I want to go to that one or do I want to go to this one? That automatically cuts your draw in half.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it's pretty much just to make sure that you are making this your biggest event of the year. And that's what fair. I think the other people that might say no to it or don't understand why I'm asking that question or requiring that is it's going to benefit you in the long term to like, why play two shows to 50 people each when you could play one big show to 150 people each?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like a lot of people, if I tell them that, would be like, I don't really know if that's true or if that's going to happen. And it's like, well, now we're 3 years deep on this thing. I was
going to say, dude, you just wait until next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, look what happened last year.
Exactly.
You could have been there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that I feel like your argument for it increases with every year that you do it.
Right.
Because the draw gets bigger and bigger. So it no longer becomes a question of, well, do you want to play a show to 25 people? I mean, dude, I was in a band back in the day. I remember playing shows to 4 people. Right. I remember playing shows and it's just other bands.
Yep.
It's all the bands showing up to watch each other. Yep. All right. That's the scene I remember.
It happens more often than not, unfortunately.
Yes, that's what it is. I mean, unless you have been a band for many years and even then, but you know, and you just take, it's so hard. It reminds me a little bit of like stand-up comedy in that like, you know, these comedians will do shows for 10 years before ever catching any sort of mild break,
right. Yep.
You know, and the music scene is no different. And if anything, maybe harder because like you're dealing with everyone's personality around you too. Like trying to just keep a band for that long is impressive in and of itself. But yeah, so then your point being is that the argument of, hey, like if you don't play shows for 30 days on either end of surrounding it, now if everyone does that, then we have this massive show with, you know, probably by next year over 1,000 people.
Right.
And do you want to play to 1,000 or 50? Or 25 or 4.
And they're a lot of times if they're playing like at a place like Cafe 9 or something, like whatever the other show might be, they're getting paid based on how many tickets they sell. They're getting like a cut of the tickets that they sell. So bringing more people to that one show, you're guaranteeing yourself more money.
Yeah,
as well.
It's like, you want to work one day and make the same money as 3, or do you,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, for example, the Cafe 9 show, you might not make any money from something like that, depending on the turnout. So it's like you're gonna, it's giving them more opportunity, and I think it's kind of just not. This is a great way for me to explain that to everybody. Maybe anybody watching will understand now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could just clip it and send it to them. Be like, hey, man, like, why would I do this? And then we just send them the clip.
I have this lingering feeling that like there are the people out there saying that like, 1, I'm gatekeeping because I put the same bands on every year or whatever. And then 2, like that the terms are ridiculous or whatever. And I'm like, I'll say it, I'm putting in 20 grand to this whole thing. That's my budget. So it's like when you see that and you understand, it's like I'm about to break even, so I'm happy. But thank you. But like that's what goes into it.
It's too late now.
Yeah, there it is.
But like that's what goes into it. So it's like as much as I like, even I have to turn down some of my friends who are like just starting their band, and I'm like, can you bring this many people? Is it 50 or so? And they're like, I can't. And I'm like, maybe next year, you know, and I feel terrible about it sometimes, but I'm always trying to find new people that can support like 50 people-ish. And it's like, I feel like that's not a crazy thing to ask if you're making it your only show of the summer to bring 50 people, including your friends and family and all that crap. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, again, like I remember, you know, even when I was playing, this is like way back, dude, but the requirements were like you couldn't even be an opening band if you couldn't sell 25 tickets.
Right. Yeah.
And like there was a thing where it was like, hey, you better sell, like if you wanted to, when we again, long time ago, but the Webster Underground, in order to tell them like, hey, I'm doing my EP release show here, I had to sell 100 tickets minimum. Otherwise they would say no. So like there is, unfortunately, as much as this is like fun and artistic and you know, we're all friends here, like there is this business side where you are putting in $20,000, like $20,000. Like I feel like sometimes people don't know what the weight of that feels like, but it's a lot. And so you do need some sort of financial backing to support the show. So it's like until, you know, we start seeing more numbers, maybe there's one band that you can get that draws a huge amount of people and the show's even bigger, then you can maybe bring in some others. Do you remember the old days of Warped Tour where they had the like competitions?
Yes.
The Warped Tour band competitions, and like you would be a local band and some local band would get the opportunity to play on the same stage as Attack or some shit. Yeah. So do you think you'll ever do something like that?
That's not a bad idea. That might be actually a cool thing. I know that like if I were to do that next year, people would say that I was forcing competition or some sort of bad thing like that.
Yeah, but people always spin a bad shit. The comment section's always terrible.
That is true. I do have to stop giving so much of a fuck, I guess, because that is one thing for sure.
I mean, it's tough, dude, right? Like you see, you're such a nice guy, seemingly. That like, you know, it hurts, especially if it's like people that you somewhat know. Or at least are acquainted with, you know, a person. It feels terrible for someone to like put you down. But like, if you look at comment sections these days, it's like one of two things. It's either a bunch of people being funny, or it's like a bunch of people like really hating. The whole like full positive vibes only happens under Keanu Reeves. And that's it. Those are the only posts where you're going to get pure positivity. Right. Maybe a dog photo. Maybe you got to do this with a picture of you and a dog. And that would help. Yeah, you know,
just I'm ditching not on Instagram, the Instagram comments are not a nice place. And maybe on TikTok where it's like Fairyland and it's just a bunch of kids. But
I'm ditching the Grim Reaper mascot thing, and I'm going full corgi next year.
There you go. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
we're gonna anime the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, the Warped Tour thing, like the Battle of the Bands, my big concern, I would say, with that is like so I did that in my old band like 15 years ago.
Back when it was still a thing, right? Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, when you're trying so hard and you're losing, you're like, man, that band is just more popular than me. Like it's just a popular vote. And then you get jaded from the whole thing. And then you're just like, you end up being pissed because you get jealous or something like that. And it's like, I wouldn't want to, as especially for smaller bands who might just be starting out, that's probably what they're going to think, opposed to like, oh, well, if you were to put like, just an example, like Scooped Up, it's like, obviously Jimmy is going to do a really good job promoting himself and getting those people to do that versus like somebody who's like literally just starting. So,
well, I mean, how did they do it? They just made it so that you had to like literally play against someone, or like you back to back, because you could literally do submission based and say, hey, share it on social media, and you get enough of those, and then you pick in private. It's more of a like, make a demo reel of your band, right? And then it gets people to maybe share the festival with a hashtag or whatever it is.
I think a good way to do this might be kind of like a Tiny Desk thing. Okay. Like you have to do a live submission of like your performance and in a small room acoustically. So that way I can like see, I'm pretty sure they do that to get like the real talent out of people. To try to judge like who's this and that, but
it's not just like based on the environment. Like, oh, they played well, but the room was cement. You know, so
the old Warped Tour things were like, from the one that I did the year that I did it was you would say, this is my YouTube video that I want to submit, and it was however many views on the video on their website. It was like literally just how many clicks and something like that.
I remember too. I think when I did it, it was something where you had to like, it was like a voting system, and every day the email got a single vote, and so your whole goal was to try and get a ton of votes.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, it's so funny that you brought up the Tiny Desk like audition type thing. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is like, you know, let's say you get, you know, a bunch of people to. But then I guess it becomes like, well, what if you get 100 submissions, you know, and then you can't audition 100 people even, you know, so that becomes an issue. But
I would think it would, the cool thing about doing something like that would be it gives everybody the same chance, I guess, because you're just kind of throwing your best thing out there to me, presumably. And then I'm kind of just going through and saying, I really think that the artistry and the performance of this, like, because that gives the band that isn't even a band yet, but they're like, oh, we're putting out an EP in 2 months or something. They can submit and they might be really, really good, but they wouldn't have ever gotten my attention because they haven't even done anything yet. So
right.
It lets them kind of come in and do their thing, but also lets like a Scooped Up, for example. Jimmy's getting all the plugs in this today. He better be thankful. Somebody like Jimmy throwing in his best performance, it's like the two of them are now on the same scale. Where it's like Jimmy has 100,000 followers or whatever the fuck. He's, for a marketing thing, it puts him like this. If you're going on Reels, views on Reels.
But the nice thing about submissions, it's like, well, you just choose, you know? People can share and stuff and whatnot, but that's more so just to get your show out there and for them, and then maybe you post the winner's video on your page or something.
Right.
But it's like who you chose, right?
Exactly.
Like this was a submission that I liked the most. Boom. Like,
I would suggest at least 2 other judges with you.
Oh yeah.
Because that way it doesn't fall on your shoulders.
I would never do it by myself. I would just get crucified.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, because then at least you sort of block yourself from the whole like.
Get someone from the other scene, you know?
Yeah, right? Exactly. Someone on the other side of the tracks here. What's up with this? I mean, I won't dig too deep about it, but it sounds like there's like a little internal beef going on. Why is that?
So not a beef. That's definitely, I want to make sure that's clear at least. It's definitely not a beef. I see from the outside all these bands doing really well, but they it's kind of like how you have, I mean, I would even say the Shoreline bundle, like that's kind of like all those bands play together all the time. You have that kind of thing. There's a whole separate, and I'm sure there's more than just 2, but there's a whole separate thing like with, at least with like the DIY scale of like, it probably leans a little bit younger. I don't know what it is that kind of like, it seems like they kind of have their crowd. They throw their shows, they do their thing. We have our shows over here and we do our thing over here. I've tried, at least with Salt Jacket booking, which is our booking thing, I've booked to play in a thing where I threw a couple bands on. And I've done that twice or so. And it works out pretty well because then you get, it's so many people showed up that I've never seen before. And that's where like this all kind of started to tumble, was like I threw a show with my old band and I was like, oh, let's get some of those guys to play on. And it's crazy how just doing that, we played to an audience of people that I had never seen before. And like, I'm going to shows all the time. I'm at least looking at, like, you can see like in Jimmy's house show, you can see in pictures and stuff, it's some of the same people. And it's like, these are all people I've never met in my life. And it went really well, at least with like introducing things to each other. And that's just, it's all about the unity and why not bring everybody together and share what we each have. I don't know. It's
well, like I do, like I sort of see where the hesitation might come from, because they're probably thinking the same thing, right? Or like, oh, well, we got to keep our group here because I need people showing up to my thing or whatever.
Right.
So it is like, I understand why that would be a thing. It's almost like, you know, like space them out a little further apart, you know? Let's do both. Or maybe alternate year over year. I don't know. It's tough because then the other, I don't know, you know?
Well, I wouldn't even say competing shows. Like, it's just literally, we and them could do everything they're doing, but just like, you know, mix each other in, I guess it's a matter of taking the risk of doing so, because I could convict myself of the same thing. It's like, oh crap, I need like that one more band that I know is going to get people to come out. And I'm like, maybe that pushes me towards like, okay, I'm comfortable with a band like Shortwave that can bring people, so I'm going to book them. And it's like, that's at least full circle here. That's where with the festival, as it builds its own built-in audience, that's when you can start to kind of take the risk of bringing in a band that you aren't comfortable with.
And I mean, it's the same, like you're building like a little bit of a buffer to where you can get to the point where like, like you said, you can gamble on a band or two here or there that maybe you like, or you think like, hey, these guys probably will pull or whatever. But like in the same way that, you know, bands are like, well, it's risky for me not to play a bunch of shows this summer because they're not. But again, it's like, okay, well, you're going to survive like one bad summer. I'm sure you have another job. All these guys have other jobs, right? So like, but again, I feel like to me, that's just like a matter of time, right? Like you're 3 years in, it's already like almost tripled in size basically from the first show, it sounds like, or close to it. So it's like, okay, what's another 2 years? Like the same person who was worried about it last year is going to see this year's show and be like, oh, well, that was dumb. I should have said yes.
Exactly.
So it's like, some people just need a little bit more proof, you know, but at the same time, it's funny because, like it might, like I feel like at the time maybe they think it's like the end of the world, but it's like it's really not though. Like if it didn't totally work out,
I agree.
You know,
so it's what it is. I've had so many bad shows that I've thrown, like that my band was playing and it's bad, and I'm like, you know, but I never hold it as like it was that band's fault or like anything like that. But I don't know. I'm hoping that just there's less division and just like everyone's egos aside. I don't know what it is. It might not even be ego. Who gives a fuck? I don't know. But I'm trying to make something be. I know that if everybody were to kind of just like, you know, I said this on the last podcast I did, it was like, I don't have the time or the energy to like reach out to everybody that I want to work with and do stuff with. But like if any of those people are like listening to this, it's like, hit me up and let's get involved, because that's all I really want to do is get as many people involved as possible, at least from like a local business, local band, local anything, anybody that does anything in Connecticut, I'm trying to get more people involved because it's a shit ton of work for me.
Yeah.
So if you do literally anything, it's like, cool. A promoter wants to book the Shoreline Fest next year. It's like, let's do that. Like, I'm game.
You know, it'd be kind of interesting is like, I wonder if like Sommer would like set up like a pull-up bar station. You know what I mean? Like, he's a personal trainer. Fitness trainer. He owns like a place in New London. Fit Fam Lab. I'm gonna look it up. Jesus.
Well, that would be like
wrong. I don't think that was right.
That would be a great thing, you know, when they have the hanging.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, this guy's also like crazy. He used to be like a Bar Stars guy. Would he do like backflips and shit off of those bars?
Oh my God.
Like that.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. And I wasn't too far off. Fit Fam Community Calisthenics.
Fit Fam.
Yeah. Fit Fam, the factory of aesthetic movement. Yeah, but that'd be kind of funny. You know, like I feel like all those Warped Tour shows and stuff, they had like, you know, I think it was like the Army or something, but it would be like a random like pull-up bar.
How many push-ups can you do?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that.
You know, win a prize.
No, that whole show was crazy. I feel like I went to those when I was like 13 and 14 with my friends and was just running around by myself. Like,
oh yeah,
can't believe that people were just doing that.
I love
buying $10 waters.
Yeah, that was like the best thing.
Center.
I didn't get into music until like late high school ish, really. So like that was when my friend showed me like Blink-182, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So my first Warped Tour was like 2014.
Oh wow!
Like, yeah.
2014.
Wait, how old are you?
27.
Okay. All right. We're not that far off.
So 2014 was the first Warped Tour.
I thought you were like 24.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah. Only well, especially because you said 2014.
I
shaved. Well, only because like, so I think the first Mayhem Fest I went to was like 2009, and I think I went to a Warped Tour pretty soon after that. So,
yeah.
But I guess that kind of makes sense. So we're 29. So yeah, I guess 3 years. So it really doesn't make a difference.
In high school. So like,
yeah. So I probably would have gone in like 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
nice.
That's funny.
That's like, I went those 2 years. It was sick. It was a ton of fun. Like I saw Attack. I saw 4 Years Strong.
Yeah.
Saw Sum 41 actually.
Yeah.
I forget. It might have been 15. They came and did the Connecticut show. I think it was Sum 41. Could be wrong.
In Connecticut.
Oh no. You know what? It was shit. Simple Plan.
Oh yeah.
I think was like 20.
The show Jimmy went.
So long ago.
Oh, the one where he randomly was backstage? I'm not sure. But
it's crazy, dude.
He's
popping up
just
so
like
many
he just like
times.
opened the door, like he's just doing stuff he's not supposed to, that he's just like with them.
Oh my God.
But dude, the Mayhem Fest, I think it was the first year I went, was the year I got a concussion from a Slayer
Everybody's
pit.
got a fucking concussion from a
dude. Like I was crowd surfing the whole day. Okay, Bullet for My Valentine, I'm crowd surfing. Kill Switch Engage, I'm crowd surfing. And then I was like, wow, this is so fun. Slayer pit. It was full of guys that were not down with crowd surfing.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I'm like,
Slayer, dude.
I'm like, woohoo, Slayer! And I go crowd surfing, and there's just not enough people. And one guy throws me on another guy, and I know I hit him in the head with my shoe or something. And then they just all threw me into just emptiness.
Oh my God.
So like, and I landed for sure, like head first, maybe slightly broke the fall with my arm or something.
Yeah.
And then was immediately concussed. And that was ruined the rest of my night,
And
actually.
now
I
you
didn't
call
get to
Barracks, dude.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
It
And
all
now
started at
it really all started with walking my dog on a bike. And I think this is where the head trauma comes from. This is why like I could have been so much smarter. And I have it. But anyway, so I'm walking my dog and the bike, and we're gonna get to the end of this, folks. But so I'm on the bike with my dog, and we start going down a hill. And my bike starts going a lot faster than my boxer can run. Now, he is a fast runner, so he's a big, muscly dog. So he's like, but all of a sudden I notice that I'm like kind of going a little further, and the leash is on my hand, which is on my like handlebar. And I just go with the brake, and he is still booking it down the hill. And I went just far enough back, and boom, twists it over the handlebars. Boom! Right on the head, and I think that was the beginning. That was the beginning
jarring,
of
dude.
That's brutal.
Yep. Yeah. And then the concussion there, and you know, Now we're here. Now I'm calling Barracks Spirits.
Now words are
all the way
hard.
around. See, there we go. Got it fucked up again.
Yeah, I think I also face planted during crowd surf once. My friend broke his nose at Warped Tour at the Enter Shikari show, just getting punched in the face. But
these are all great bands.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's so funny, like because like I'll hear like new metalcore bands, and I'm like, like I feel like all the best metalcore has already been made, and it was made from about 2008 until about 2014.
I have that same like thought, and I think about this so frequently whenever I hear about a new band. It's like it never hits the same as like that core time that I was like that 14 to 18 like pop punk Warped Tour.
Dude, it was a huge scene then too.
Like what happened to that? Like nobody tops like the Story So Far or State Champs. Like the
to me they kind of own that scene right now. It's it's so State Champs in particular is so powerful in what they've done for that particular sound that if you even come close to sounding like it's like, it's just another State Champs. And I only know this
that's what it is. Maybe it's just like, I'm like, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
It could just be that.
I mean, it's a tough thing to like break out of, or into, I should say too, because like, I don't know. I just remember the days where like that, that was like every band had a version of that guitar riff, but it was acceptable for that time period because like, maybe the drums were a little different or the guitar was slightly tuned differently. But I don't know. We got to bring it back. I don't know. Something's got to happen. I don't really
Jimmy's doing that.
Yeah, Jimmy. It's funny too because like
shout out Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's good. Brought up for the 50th time on this episode.
I know, right?
But for a good, another good reason though is that online people be like, Blink-182, like I've already heard it, and he always handles those comments so well. He's always like something like I think I might maybe making this up, but wouldn't be far fetched. Is like, yeah, but did they have a poop bucket?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He finds a way to like, and then I saw this is I love reading comments, and he probably doesn't know that I'm reading some of these sometimes, but like I'll see him reply, and then this one time I saw. That was pretty funny. I think I will listen to you guys now. And I'm like, you know what? God damn it, dude. He's too good.
That's he can't be stopped. The TikTok era of this whole music thing is just, I hate it because you have to be a comedian first and a musician second.
Yeah.
Is kind of what or not even a comedian maybe, but like it's like personable. An educator or I saw some video, some guy, he's like, we have to make stupid little fucking videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's exactly how I feel about the whole thing.
Did I just make the song of the summer? Dude,
right.
But again, dude, Jimmy, bringing him up again. He like, did he just have a video of him pissing into a toilet or something?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be like basic with it, but you do have to market yourself. I mean, it's like, because it's so flooded with content that it's like, you have to have something, what I mean? So it sucks, but it's like,
you really have no choice.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah. It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like thinking, because you're right. It's like every time I same thing, like I'm thinking about like, a pop punk band comes out and I'm like, cool, this is like worst State Champs. But I'm like, all right, well, how the fuck does the reggaeton scene do? Because all these fucking songs sound exactly the same, but sort of different. It's like, but I listen to all of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's true. No, yeah, I'm sure it does happen where everybody from one side, like, your parents are always like, why are they whining? I don't get it. It's like they all you hear it one way and that's it, especially when you don't listen to it. So it's like the same thing with reggae. It's like, I'm sure a reggae fan would be like, I don't see the comparison between like,
Oh, I'm talking like Bad Bunny, not reggae, but like reggaeton.
You're talking reggaeton?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Sorry.
Like that shit all sounds the same.
Right.
I listen to it, admittedly, pretty often. Yeah. But like, they get away with it. They're doing something. Yeah. I don't know if it's because it's embedded in culture or what. Well, that's kind of like I fuck with reggaeton.
Like pop music. I mean, even in that front, it's
right.
Yeah, it's
we
true.
have the phases of it, but it's like every 3 years, maybe everything sounds the same. And then somebody does something and then it's all like, let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, geez, there's like, hair metal was the scene for so long in the 80s. It was hair metal, thrash, you had like some hip hop breaking out and stuff. But then all of a sudden, like Nirvana comes out and everyone's just like Andy from Toy Story, where he's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. And just like drops him off. Like that happened to all those, 80s hair metal bands, And then Nirvana happens, and then I don't know. We just kind of went grunge, and then there's like Green Day, and then,
they had that whole
the Seattle sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Pearl Jam thing.
Yeah. for like 10 years.
Yeah, and then that like happens, and now we're here. It's definitely tough because like what is it? It was in that Jack Black's first movie ever, the postmodernism. Or whatever. So like modernism is the idea that everything's like, kind of a remake of something that's happened in the past. And then postmodernism is now a remake of the remake. And now we're in postmodernism, which is like a remake of a remake of a remake. Which is why it's hard to think of generic or new ideas, non-generic ideas.
I always say that there's no such thing as an original thought because there really isn't, I don't think.
I think at this point, most things have been thought of before.
Probably.
It's hard to imagine. That's why movies are tough.
Everything comes from somewhere, even if you're not aware of it. And that's like a huge thing, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody who thinks they're doing something original, it comes from somewhere. Because there's some influence from something.
Can you borrow from enough places to make it look like it's not
right?
borrowed?
And that's the goal, essentially, to try to give people something that they haven't heard before. And I think we all probably would want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's very tough to try to even think of that. And then even when you go too far, it's just like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because nobody gets
right.
it.
It's like, this is too far off.
But it's like presentation definitely is a huge factor though, right? Because you can have something that's like new but sounds familiar, but like either the band is fun and engaging or it's presented in a way like, all movies are essentially the same. But like you can watch a really good movie and have it be the same story and you know where it's going to go, but it's still a good presentation of it.
Yeah.
So it's tough,
right? That's I would say that pairs nicely with like the, they call it the pop chord progression.
Yeah, I was literally thinking the same thing. It's like, pop music. Like
the people that do the mashup songs, and it's like you could go on for years playing a song right into the next song, being in the same key with the same chord progression. It's
Ed Sheeran. He demonstrated that in court because they were like, "Oh, you stole from me," and he's like, "Oh yeah." Proceeds to play guitar in court like 10 songs in a row with the same chord progressions.
Yep. Well, there's a whole, not even to get too far off the point, but like, I hate that. Like, I hate when somebody like Ed Sheeran gets sued for using a scientifically proven progression of notes in a song. And it's like, it's not the same. There's only so many chords in so many different arrangements that like, as long as it's not a straight rip, that was like the whole Olivia Rodrigo thing.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing that. That is a little crazy.
I hate that.
What was that?
So she got in trouble because of Paramore, the Misery Business thing, and her song "Good for You" sound the same. And I was like, well, so people are getting mad at her because she stole it. And I was like, you don't put together. The only reason that you're mad is because you were able to put it together that they're kind of the same genre and they're both girls. Yeah. It's like Green Day's Boulevard Broken Dreams, same thing. There's so many other songs that are the same thing. And it's like, just, you didn't put it together because it didn't sound kind of in the same style. And it's like 20 other people have made the exact same song kind of in a different genre and it was fine by you. So it's like, I don't know. It's fair.
I feel like if one of those bands, or if Olivia Rodrigo was a guy, or Hayley Williams was a guy, like you wouldn't have.
Right, you never even would have thought about it.
Yeah, because tonally it would be just different enough for you not to.
And it was similar, but it's like it's a different song. It's just because it's kind of like an angsty girl pop punk style song. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess you have a problem with it, but like sue the other band that did it. 20 years ago.
Yeah, you're going to have like 100 lawsuits. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's people just looking for a check, I think, end of the day.
All right, man. Well, definitely towards the end here, before we kind of sign off, anything you kind of want to like, tie a bow on anything or anything kind of last things you want to say?
One thing I didn't touch on, we are also throwing a emo night after party at the festival. So when the headliners are done, we're going to clear it out and then let everybody back in for like a DJ set type thing. My buddy from high school, Steve, is a DJ. So he's compiling a huge list. We're going to go till about 2 a.m. It's $10. So that's
nice.
It. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the bar is open till 2, so we're cruising.
Damn.
Yep.
That's sick.
So you got the show. So just to summarize, the show is $20, $10 if you want to stay for emo night.
Yep.
And then there's like drinks, vendors, all that sort of stuff outside.
There's 20 plus beers on draft. There's to-go cans. There's going to be food. There's going to be everything. And price goes up $5 on each thing day of the show. So make sure to get them early. And I mean, that's really it from me.
Sweet,
nice,
dude. Where can they find you? Follow if they want to buy tickets, socials, all that kind of stuff.
ShorelineSummerfest.com has all of the event info. It has all of the sponsors, the vendors, everything. So make sure to check everybody out that's involved. If you're interested, check it out. You might be more interested, then buy your ticket. Shoreline.summer.fest on Instagram. And we'll call it there.
Sweet. Thanks so much, dude.
There's a Spotify playlist with all the bands on it.
Oh,
that's actually sick.
No, that's awesome. Wait, but I'm going to download that as soon as I can because, it's good gym wear.
And you might be able to find some new local bands you like.
Times when he was a kid.
Listen to music.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun, man.
Cool.
See you. Thanks so much for listening to Bone Apple Tea. If you like the show, please give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell your friends about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's Bone Apple Tea V, BoneAppleTeav on Instagram. Thanks so much.